Alright guys, what's up? We are back with TZP taking on a WoG Game 3 of this series, which I initially did not realize was in fact a 3-game series. And I was initially planning to cast a 2-game series, but I did not have Game 2 written down as part of this thing, which is why I messed up earlier. I actually put this game as Game 2, but in fact it is Game 3, so I tried to save some face and pretend like I didn't know what was going on, but I knew exactly what was going on. I realized I messed up. Hopefully you guys didn't pick up on that, and you were sufficiently surprised when TZP won Game 2, or at least it was unexpected enough that it wasn't a boring game because you knew the outcome. But hey, you could know the outcomes for all these games if you really want to. These are all replays, the results are all online. It's not hard to figure out. This game was even played weeks and weeks ago because this is Cycle 5 and we're now in the midst of Cycle 6, so I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's there if you want it, I suppose. Anyway, Revenant and Parasite will be the first couple of bans for Catlow and Main. Here on the Legion side, Magnus and Tempest can be counters for Vetches, as that leaves both Swiftblade and Cthulhu open. So, interesting bans from both sides. I don't see their justification to ban Parasite. I think Parasite was a huge reason that they lost that last game, so if they want to pick that up again and do it the same way they did, I think once again TZP has to be feeling like, okay, thanks. But the Revenant ban definitely worthwhile, as Jarl is played a very good Revenant in Game 1. Speaking of Jarl in Game 1 and Game 2, Vetche is going to replace Motz here for Game 3, actually, as the captain and drafter, and I don't remember what he plays. I think Jarl sort of switches it up. I think Vetche plays mid, I want to say. Jonathan playing short lane, Crush One playing... No, Vetche plays jungle, doesn't he? But he does. I bet he plays jungle. I'll go their support player. I bet Jarl's going to play mid this game. Anywho, we'll be looking at, like I said, some interesting bans. It's going to lead into some oft-banned heroes. I wasn't really sure where I wanted to go with that sentence, but I found a good place. In Cthulhu, Rhapsody, and Pharaoh, the first 3 picks for the Legion side. So played Kraken and Puppet Master can be selected for the Hellborn team. So not bad at all. Both teams with solid picks. Pharaoh and Rhapsody, a pretty fantastic combination as the Dance 4 on top of the Mummy Walls and Hellfire does a ton of damage and lots of healings. So good stuff there. Kraken Ultimate as a nice counter to the Pharaoh though. And that's actually a hero they picked before the Pharaoh. So hopefully they have a way of dealing with the Kraken-Pharaoh interaction typically going in the favor of Kraken. I believe he can charge out of the walls. I don't quote me on that. I think it's the case, but HoN mechanics are occasionally inconsistent, and I don't remember if he can move through the walls. I am 99% sure Cthulhu can charge through the walls, so that's worth noting. And that does make the Cthulhu Pharaoh a nicer combination as well, because if you do accidentally catch the Cthulhu inside or outside of the walls, depending on where you actually wanted him to be, he can go through them without having to deny them, and that can be quite helpful, of course. So Legion side probably looking for a little bit more in the way of damage, as they likely have their Suicide and Mid picked out, Cthulhu and Pharaoh. Not actually sure which one will go where. I would prefer the Elephant Suicide and Pharaoh Mid, as I think that's the better combination of both of those heroes. Pharaoh's a very good mid hero. He's a very good Suicide hero for that matter as well, but I think Cthulhu much better in the Suicide role than he is in the mid. And that would potentially leave them with a solo short laner as well as a jungler or a second support. Yeah, I know. I'm like I said, I'm about 99% sure that Cthulhu can't charge through also, and like I said, I think Kraken can as well. I was less sure on Kraken, but I think he can either way. Perhaps we'll see the interaction in this game and get that question answered for us. So Dark Lady being a soft pick here by Legion. I actually liked it a lot less this game than I do in previous games, purely because the Pharaoh and TDL I think is a bit of an iffy interaction. Pharaoh and melee heroes have a love-hate relationship. If the Mummy Walls are good, melee heroes love Pharaoh. If the Mummy Walls are bad, melee heroes hate Pharaoh. So it's going to depend on how good whoever the Pharaoh player is at playing Pharaoh. And that's one of those fun instances where English is kind of funky, but it's going to be a Hag third pick. So this is potentially a jungle elephant now, I think, as Pharaoh could go Suicide. I hope they go for Hag short lane. I do prefer her substantially in that role. not even that good a hero in general, I think, anymore, to be honest. Her damage output is good, but she's better in the solo short role, and she's not even that good in the short lane, so it's a little iffy. We'll see how it does. I sincerely hope they don't go for a Dark Lady here, because that's going to be the height. Not the height of, but it's going to be a little bit too much greed, I think, to have both a TDL and a Retro Tag. I don't have a problem with Retro Tag going along with another hard carry hero. TDL is way too greedy, though, for that type of situation. Puppet Master is the type of hero that goes very well with Retro Tag. Both strong gankers, neither of them take a crap ton of farm, and Moon Queen does take a crap ton of farm, so not a huge fan. I like they didn't go for a melee hero, but I've got some issues with the Legion draft. Hellborn gonna follow up with Gauntlet, and we're waiting on their 5th pick right now. I haven't talked about the bans at all, but Empath, Geomancer, and Torturer being taken out by the Legion side. Cat Lamaine banning Empath a little bit strange to me if you're gonna go for a Wretched Hag and Moon Queen last 2 picks. I feel like Empath would have been pretty fantastic for them, but I guess they figure Elephant's good at jungle. We already have the Rhapsody. They don't have any supports unless they run a Puppet Master support, and so I guess Empath's a solid ban. They weren't gonna pick it anyway. But Geomancer, good ban. Torture, another support ban, also solid, as Geomancer does a lot of damage and could potentially have run in that suicide lane if Puppet Master was going to be another support instance, which looks like it might actually be the case. Silhouette, Malikan, and Madman being taken out by Vetches, as obviously Madman did very, very well in Cat Lamaine's hands in the last game, and banning a couple of solo short laners as well, considering the Legion side needed that role to be filled. But Hellborn are going to finish their draft up with Alonia. So this is the hero Tree likes a lot. I'm not really a fan. She has ridiculous amounts of damage output, and it looks like they're going to be running her as a second support, which is actually the role I prefer her in. Tree does tend... You're right? I'm sure you guys heard that noise. Cat might be a little bit sick, I'm not sure. Either way, she's taking a bath now, so she's fine. Anyway, the Alonia, I do prefer her in the second support role. I feel like her damage output is massive, but she's way too squishy to have to be relied on. That's a perfect point, Twitch chat. So let's go back to the Legion lineup in a second. But let's talk about Alonia for the time being. Huge amounts of damage, and you look at the Hellborn side, they have a ridiculous amount of damage. Puppet Master, Swiftblade, Kraken, Gauntlet, Alonia. Like, that's an insane amounts of damage in this fight. And they have actually a fair bit of CC as well. So I'm liking this Hellborn draft quite a bit, to be honest. Alonia, I do prefer the support role, like I said, because I think she can just deal a bunch of damage, especially with her ultimate, and then die, and everything's fine. If you put her in the carry role, she has to stay alive in team fights, and she has real problems doing that. So it's a bit iffy to me. Tree has done okay with the Alonia. They haven't done so well against the really good teams. They've done pretty well against the kind of bad teams, and that's usually an indication to me that the hero's not so great. But they'll also be running the second support Puppet Master again, or at least the support Puppet Master again, and obviously did very, very well for them in Game 2, and I do believe this is viable for Puppet. I think this is actually one of the reasons that Puppet is as strong as I think he is, and it's one of the reasons I've been touting Puppet Master as a strong hero for about a year now, actually. Early picks on Puppet Master don't require you to run him as a carry. Pretty much everybody does, but you can run him as a second support. He's got 2 extremely strong targeted CC tools, one of which will be used here. Is actually not going to get anything too much out of it, but this is going to be a tri-lane here in the bottom lane, as Moon Queen and Rhapsody going to try to face up against the Hellborn side, who are running the Puppet, Alonia, and Swiftblade, which is really, really powerful. But gonna bring one more thing up by Twitch chat. I don't get why they're going Hag over Bubbles if they're going to go for Moon Queen. I completely agree with you. Right? Anyway. They're going to be able to catch this Swiftblade here. They're going to put a whole bunch of damage, but he's going to be able to spin on this, and now Rhapsody going to be in a lot of trouble. Spin going to go through. That should be first blood. We'll see if Swiftblade actually pays for this. The mock on Cthulhufin's doing a fair bit. They're trying to cut Swiftblade out of the trees here. No trample available. It's not going to matter as they get the counter kill onto the Swiftblade. And there's the trample as Cthulhufin hits level 2 thanks to that kill on Swifty. So a double tap going through for TZP. Not a bad start whatsoever. And Moon Queen getting off to a good initial... or a good beginning of this game. The tri-lane, which had gone in favor of the Hellborn side with that Bloodlust for Jonathan. Not doing that so much anymore. Ganal also going to get 300 GPM. And actually, Moon Queen could be in some trouble as we see Puppet coming in from the side. Still level 1. We're going to try to block out this MQ. Yep, there we go. Spins there as well. And now Count Dracula is dead as... Yes! Nearly actually got out of there, but ends up taking the death. Rhapsody taking a very, very long time to get to this bottom lane. So the Forgotten One, all of the good things I said about you before, I think I'm going to have to take them back. Sorry. Anyway. Hag over Bubbles in this top lane. I don't know why. Hag is going to require a lot more farm than Bubbles does to be effective. She's a much, much greedier hero. She is a 240 gold per minute, so she is actually having a pretty substantially good time in this top lane. 256 GPM for Crush 1 on the solo short lane Kraken. So it's working out. I wouldn't have expected it to work out this well. I wouldn't really expect it to work out that well as it goes forward because, like I said, Moon Queen's going to soak up all the farm. And like I said before they drafted Moon Queen, I'm okay with Hag as a part of in a suicide role, as a part of a hero or in a non-short lane role, as a part of a team where they don't have a hero like Moon Queen who soaks up all the farm, and where Hag can find some places to get some creep kills. But they got a Moon Queen, and they've got a jungling Cthulhufin, so it's not like they're going to be full of stacks on this Legion team. Anyway, Swiftblade spin going to go through onto this Moon Queen. She could be dead here, yeah. That spin lasting just long enough to get the kill on the Count Dracula and support on the Legion side. Not really quite there. They will be able to pick off the Alonia. We'll see if Puppet Master can survive this. My suspicion is yes. There doesn't seem to be transitioning over from the middle lane. I think Puppet Master, yeah, should be able to walk it off. So, in the end, 1-for-1 trade going in favor of the Hellborn side as they manage to kill the opposing team's farmer for just the support on their team. And Moon Queen currently at 201 gold per minute. Not where you want to be. And Moon Queen is sort of known as this like late game really, really powerful hero. She is that. I will give her that. But she needs a good start. If you shut a Moon Queen down early, she will go nowhere. And about 6-9 months ago, towards the end of HoN Tour Season 2, we started seeing a lot more Moon Queen. She was sort of the flavor hero to be picked a lot. She did very, very well in a lot of games. And I love Moon Queen, so I really have no problem with seeing a lot of Moon Queen. But it is not hard to stop a Moon Queen strat, and it basically involves doing exactly what the Hellborn team did. Manning up on the Moon Queen and forcing her to get aggressive early on when she doesn't want to fight, because she doesn't want to fight right now. Swiftblade loves to fight right now. He's got a level 3 spin. He does a crap ton of damage with that, and he's magic immune. So this Moon Queen and Rhapsody are like, well, shit, there's not much I can do. And as a result, Moon Queen, 2 deaths. She got an assist and a kill, which is nice, but she's getting heavily pressured here, and she's not going to be able to take off. So a lot of this game actually might rest in the hands of this Suicide Wretched Hag, who's at 260 GPM. Not bad at all. Starting to lose the lane a little bit more heavily to the Kraken, who's at 315 GPM. So he's starting to take off a little bit. Rhapsody, in the meantime, in the woods. Perhaps going to get caught out. Yep, there's Puppeteer's Hold, and now Rhapsody is no question deadsies. And Jonathan going to be able to pick up his 3rd kill. Cthulhufin looking for something else. Puppet Master Illusion is here as well. PM does have the Voodoo Puppet still, so we'll see if they look for anything more counter kills. Moon Queen rotating over. They're probably going to be looking for the Voodoo Puppet on somebody like her. Yeah, Trample actually not going to hit. Wrath of Air going to come in. Will connect as Jarl dies on that Alonia. We'll see if Jonathan can get through. Gauntlet Blast comes on onto the Moon Queen, and she's going to die. So that's still another good trade for the Hellborn side. It's 2-for-1. They lost the support, and they took a carry and the opposing team's support. So that's 3 now as the Swift Slashers go through. Gauntlet Hook going to connect onto the Pharaoh. We'll see if they have enough damage. They don't have enough lockdown, but actually not a great Mummy Walls, and looks like they won't pay for that too much, as Yellow Train should be able to get out of there. But in the end, another good fight there for WoG as they pick off 3 hero kills, lose just the 1. And I'm sure they're quite happy about that. Good rotation from Pharaoh, allowing them to get anything out of it, but perhaps prolonging a fight that shouldn't have been prolonged, so there's that too. Either way, I mean, I keep looking at this top lane and Cat main on this Wretched Hag because I feel like how he does is going to be super critical to how this game goes for TZP. And he's having an okay time, but Like, let's look at the GPM charts here. Moon Queen, you're not supposed to be at 150 gold per minute. Alright, buddy? Like, that's not where you want to be. And you look at 430 GPM on the Swiftblade. Very, very good early game carry. Very good late game carry. The late game does belong to the Legion side. I mean, if this goes 45 minutes to an hour, Moon Queen and Wretched Hag will be impossible for this dual support lineup to deal with. And Moon Queen Ultimate will be able to finish off Elgol actually on the Puppet Master, so some fortuitous bounces, I suppose, but the fact that Swiftblade dropped a spin wasn't great either, because it meant that he couldn't absorb anything. Wrath of Pharaoh will connect into Alonia just at the edge of the distance, and that should be under kill. Rhapsody Dance for it will do a lot. Sample from Cthulhu pretty much doing nothing, though, and a double tap actually from Moon Queen, so that's more where we want to be, Moon Queen, getting them double taps. Still at 210 GPM, so not the greatest, but nice response there from TZP, and they're going to tie the hero kills up at 6-6. They're actually just about even in golden experience as well, so I'm acting like things are in dire straits for them, but they're not so much. It's just I'm really worried about how this mid game is going to go. They need to have a strong laning phase on the Legion team because they don't have a good mid game. Moon Queen, not a great mid game hero. Pharaoh's a good mid-game hero. Hag can be, depending on how she builds and depending on some other stuff. But Swiftblade's aggression will be stopped a little bit by Rhapsody Staccatos. Not a bad interaction right there. But if Hag goes for a farming build, she's going to be only a mediocre mid-game hero. She will have a fair bit of magical burst damage, but she's going to be squishy as all hell. So it's a bit of a problem. She's currently got the Apprentice robe on top of the boots, so I assume that's just a Steam Boots build-up. No guarantee of anything else. YOLO Train in the middle lane actually goes die as Alonia rotates over. We'll see what happened there. Gauntlet Hook, I assume, lands on Pharaoh. Yep, there it is. Indian Infernal Stability, and there's a couple of stuff. Gauntlet Blast actually going to finish off that Pharaoh. And goodbye, Pharaoh. So, I don't know. I mean, Cthulhu's going to be annoying in the front of these fights. I'll give him that. Like, if they can get farm on these heroes, they have a ridiculously good team for Legion. They have fantastic initiation with Pharaoh and Cthulhu, both of whom are extremely annoying and often tanky frontline heroes. Like, those are just extremely frustrating heroes to deal with because of how Dream of Madness, you got the Mummy Walls, you got the Hellfire, you have just all sorts of stuff that's just aggravating for this Hellborn team. And the damage output's definitely there. If you look at Moon Queen and Wretched Hag, the lockdown's not great. They do have some inability to actually prevent people from getting away, in my opinion. But anyway, Rhapsody gonna get found out by the spin, and she's real dead. Cthulhu looking for something here. Actually has the ultimate going through. Moon Queen will drop there, so Slash can go through as well, trying to get this Swiftblade out of there. He will not get hit by the trample, and he's gonna leave. No. Moon Queen ultimate is, or Moonbeam is there. They're also going to be able to pick off the Alonia. So, in the end, the dive from Swiftblade to kill that Rhapsody, very bad decision, it appears. And I'm going to end up with both Swifty and the support dying, as well as Puppet Master, perhaps, here. Yeah, last auto attack from Ganal. We'll be able to pick him off as well. So, TZP coming back, doing some good stuff. And now taking a hero kill advantage, in fact. So they're doing better as this laning phase is going to start to come to an end. 310 GPM on Wretched Hag, 310 GPM on the Cthulhu, and Moon Queen has recovered a little bit, 284 gold per minute for her. So that's going to allow her at least to not massively suffer. She will have a relatively a decent timing on her Whispering Helm and her Firebrand. That's interesting. The creeper just kind of sitting there, curious. Forgot one stealing kills. What a bitch. At the same time, though, you look at Kraken 360 GPM, you look at Swiftblade's 360 GPM, you look at Gauntlet 360 GPM. So we're going to see early portal keys on both Pink and Brown on this Hellborn team, and the Rev Ward is going to let Cthulhu know that they, or the Archer's going to let Cthulhu know that they have a Rev Ward there. So he's just going to back off. Attempts to gank, nice try, but unfortunately doesn't work. And I'm just looking at the minimap again, but always too late, as they manage to pick off the Pharaoh. So we'll see what happens here. I'm guessing once again, Gauntlet Hook. Yeah, there it is. Not bad. Actually, actually doing very well with his Gauntlet Hooks, and he's going to pick up a serial killer streak for his trouble. I never mind washing anyway. Is that what she says? I don't know. Triple Ancients here will be taken out by the supports and their carry and Swiftblade. Support's actually getting a lot of these ancient kills, which I'm fine with. Again, to be honest, getting some support gold, not a bad thing. We saw how much work Forgotten One did last game with double tap early on. He just turned that crazy into a very nice start. Got kills in all the lanes, made everybody very happy.
Finally, I got my abyssal skull.
Indeed, finally you did get your abyssal skull. And he's just kind of YOLOing in.
Ultimate warrior.
Jonathan? Not sure what that was, but it wasn't great. Oh, top lane. Looks like they will be able to take out Catlow main. Missed that as well. I'm not going back. I don't feel like it. So, 335 GPM all of a sudden on this Moon Queen, and she's not doing bad anymore. She is leading her team in farm, and getting up there. Again, not really where she wants to be, but much closer to it than where she was before. Top tower should be going down, as they're pressuring it pretty damn heavily. Which, again, did mention Kraken Helm or Portal Key. That, I would say, is the wrong choice. I know some people probably do like it. Clearly, Crush One thinks it's the optimal build here. He's going to be very tanky, which is nice for him, and that Vestment's going to do even more because of additional health. But I feel like the gank potential could have been fantastic. Bottom lane, they do manage to pick off Elgo on that Prophet Master, but we'll see if they get countered. Kraken eating a lot of those Moonbeam bounces, but actually to survive. That Helm did pay off right there. I'll give him credit for that. Yellow Train falling. Perhaps the ultimate not doing too much. We'll save some damage, but Moon Queen's still going to fall here, no question. Back Blast going to connect him to Gauntlet, but that's it. Staccatos will help finish him off, and he should die at the very least. Yeah, haunt damage will take him down. So, in the end, they do manage to kill the Gauntlet, and that's it. No, Elgo on the Puppet Master also died. So, 2 for 2 in favor of Hellborn as they take out the mid and the support in exchange for the carry and the mid. So, obviously, the balance of heroes going in favor of WoG. We approach the 15-minute mark here, 12 to 12. Once again, hero kills are tied, but WoG actually taking a slight farm lead. I think that also has something to do with the aggressive tri-lane factor. Something I haven't talked about too much so far, but aggro tri-lanes do tend to win. And they tend to do a little bit better, I believe, than the short lane tri-lane. So, as I like it because it opens up your short lane for something like a Kraken, who can do very well in that situation. And the aggressive tri-lane versus a short lane tri-lane, you still have to run a suicide. Suicides generally have a little bit more trouble killing stuff and staying alive and such. So I feel like when you have the opportunity to be like, look, we're going to put 3 heroes down here, so there's a good chance we're going to do well, especially considering you have a jungler. There's really no sense in running a short lane tri-lane. It should obviously always be a long lane tri-lane when you're going up against a jungle lineup. But that's just me. And Conquer will be attempted here by the Hellborn side. Not a bad decision whatsoever. Got the token on one of these initiators, but it looks like Pharaoh might actually get kind of fight out Roots Kraken. Rhapsody walks into it. That was a little bit bad. Wrath of Pharaoh is there, though. They will be able to pick her off, as well as Yellow Train on that Pharaoh. And there goes Gnall's Cthulhufin. And that's going to be a 3 for nothing. And a totally free Conquer now, because there's nothing that Allegiant side can do to stop this. Even if they brought both Hag and Moon Queen in, their ultimates are down in their 25 to 35 seconds here, so Kogor, token will be going, I assume, to Swiftblade, but I kind of prefer to see it actually on the Gauntlet. Has the portal key, wants to be able to jump in, get aggressive. I feel like Swiftblade can sit a little bit further back and be okay, but I think it's going to go to Swiftblade pretty much no matter what. We'll see. Gauntlet just buying a Mighty Blade, yep, as the Miter Totem is sold by Swifty, and he picks up the Token of Life, so no huge surprise there. I don't know if it was optimal, but it's definitely not bad. Get the Token of Life on your Swifty. And speaking of Token of Life, he also has an Abyssal Skull and Ghost Marchers, so wouldn't be surprised to see the Firebrand get picked up here relatively soon. Kraken did finish off his portal key right there, so he's got a Helm and PK at 16 minutes. Not bad at all, 450 gold per minute, and it's sort of hard to question the Helm build now, because he's farming ridiculously well. Especially because they also helped them survive that engagement in the bottom lane. They are trying to set up a little bit onto the Swiftblade. They do have another port coming in. Russian Hag and Rhapsody obviously waiting for a while. Dance 4 and the Staccato Stuns go down, but Swifty leaving in the perfect amount of time to avoid getting ganked as Cthulhu was coming in with that port. Not a bad play from Jonathan. Gets his creeps, moves on, and continues to live. PM still working on upgrading his boots, just has the red ones. Alonia has finished her upgraded boots, has that on top of the Neophyte's book and Power Supply, so Alonia's 260 GPM, not bad at all. Making solid use of that hero. Gauntlet, of course, has its PK on a Mighty Blade, so presumably looking for a Shrunken Head, excuse me, in his next item, and that will be pretty fantastic against this Legion team, which, especially in the early and mid game, is very, very magic focused. Until Moon Queen gets up with those right clicks, she will be largely outputting magic damage in these team fights with her ultimate and the occasional Moonbeam. The bounces do a fair bit, her auto attacks do a fair bit, but it is going to be largely magic damage, so that Shrunken Head can prevent a lot of stuff from coming out. Kraken going to jump on top of this Pharaoh and just destroy him. Swift Flash through there too. Pretty unnecessary, but for some reason they felt like, hey, let's blow it. Jonathan doesn't even get the kill for that because he's too greedy, and his greed is punished trying to kill steal there. The HoN gods do not appreciate that. Well, I will finish off the Legion Hellborn items. Legion side looking at Striders and Wards on Rhapsody, so the Forgotten One not having quite the game he did yesterday, or not yesterday, in the previous game release. Kraken sort of going to catch Moon Queen, not the greatest placement. She basically ran through the really obvious area. Kraken unable to place it in the most obvious place, figuring he was going to get juked, so sort of mind gaming himself right there. But in the end, not that big a deal. It's a sort of waste the Kraken cooldown, but Moon Queen is forced out of the woods, and she is back in her base, which means that, well, she's not back in her base, she's at the tower, but she's scared. Did some stuff to scare her. Anyway, Pharaoh. Speaking of Kraken, always good to talk about Pharaoh. Those two heroes have some interesting interactions, and he's currently just sitting on Steam Boots, Power Supply Vestments, and Bottle, so trying to take up a little bit. Presumably working on the puzzle box as his next item, at least I very much hope that's his next item. Although, to be fair, could be a Barbed Arm. Like I said in the early game, there's a lot of damage on this Hellborn side. What they don't have that much of is tankiness. I mean, they got the Swiftblade, who's going to be not super tanky. Kraken and Gauntlet will be reasonably tanky, but Alonia and Puppet Master could very easily kill themselves on Barbed Armor, and could be interesting. Puzzle Box could do something similar, although not so much against Puppet, considering he's not so much AoE damage as single target damage. So the Mauler, unless he specifically targets and kills it, which seems pretty unlikely, may not be the most effective way to return damage onto the Hellborn team. Gauntlet Blast is going to allow him to just absolutely wreck that Rhapsody portal key right on out and be fine. So, lead them into an owning 5-kill streak. Moon Queen gonna get caught out by the Gauntlet, and we've got Kraken here waiting for Count Crapula to do something. Gauntlet got a portal key on in. We'll see if she drops the Moonbeam ultimate. Not gonna do so. Probably a good idea because there was really no way that Count Crapula was getting out of that one. Speaking of him, he's got Whispering Helm, Steam Boots, and going for the Shrunken Head early, which is okay against Alonia, but not something I really agree with. Meantime, they are going to be able to catch out Cat Lomane on that Russian Hag, as the CC tools from the Puppet Master just too strong, yo. Another thing, I'm not sure why you're picking Russian Hag up against a PM. Hag hates facing PM. So, I feel like MQ could have gone Firebrand. I mean, they do have a lot of magic damage on the Hellborn side. Puppet Master, Alonia in particular, obviously heavy magic damage dealers. Gauntlet does a lot of magic damage. Even Kraken can do a fair bit, so not the worst thing to do to get a Shrunken Head. The issue that I have with her mostly right now is she just does not have the damage, and she's not going to have it for a while. She needs a Firebrand, she needs a Geometer's Bane, she needs a Wingbow. Moon Queen a hero that needs a lot of items to get significant damage output. Once she gets those, she does a crap ton of damage, but before that time, just not all that powerful. In the meantime, Swiftblade gonna get the ultimate onto Cthulhu and wants to die here to lose the token. Finally will do so in the background though. Kraken gonna get caught a little bit, but it looks like the first one to go down will in fact be Yellow Train on that Pharaoh. Meantime, Gauntlet Blast goes through. Kraken's still gonna die, and here's a couple getting that Kraken ultimate. Cthulhu gonna fall right after Count Crapula on that Moon Queen. They're trying to finish off this Puppet. The Tag will be able to do so. We'll see if she can actually escape from here, though. The Hasted Gauntlet trying to chase her down and kill her. Enfeeble is there. Blink back, actually. Alonia is not going to die, and now the Hasted Gauntlet is going to continue to chase down this Wretched Hag. Gets over here again. Is he going to get the kill? Alonia is dead. Catlomain with the plays. Very, very well executed. Has another blink. Going to be able to port away. Is the hook there? No, it's not. And Gauntlet not going to get that kill as Catlomain on the Hag doing work. Very, very well done. And making full use of that hero's mobility, burst damage, and general annoyingness. So let's talk about Catlomain here. It has gone for Lightbrand, so not really the build I would have preferred here. Count Crapula presumably is the short lane farmer, but really it is Catlomain now who's at 350 GPM, so I guess it's fine, but I feel like more utility items would have been a better route. Perhaps build into the Hellflower or Sheepstick. Get something that's going to help in these team fights. Try to lock some heroes down, or at least CC them in some manner, and see what you can do. As I said, Rush of the Legion side, not too heavy on CC tools, so their ability to prevent people from getting away perhaps could be significantly improved if Hag would go for a more team-oriented build as opposed to her own farm. Cthulhu, the one I skipped over there, has gone for the Astrolabe on top of Plate of Greaves, so a little bit more pushing presence. Hasn't really translated into too many towers here as we're 22 minutes in, and TZP have taken just the one tower in middle lane. Bot tower, like I just hovered over, is quite low, so possible they could go try to push that one and take it out. Top tower also at about half health, so not that big a deal either. Both of those tier 1s quite vulnerable at this point, but speaking of towers, Hellborn side going to group up and push this bottom lane. Legion going to take that as their cue to perhaps push top. We have two heroes up here, and we got two more sort of making their way there. The Cthulhu and Pharaoh, Count Crackle in the middle lane is pushing the mid as the bot tier 2 tower falls. A huge surprise. And once again, WoG doing a very good job of managing to kill towers. Gauntlet in the top lane will be able to get picked off by the Forgotten One and Wretched Hag. Not bad there. Puppet Master perhaps will run the Moon Queen here. Sort of got blocked off. I'm not sure. Yeah, they're going to sort of see each other, but Moon Queen not going to go for anything, perhaps figuring she can't do it. But tier 3 is actually getting pushed here in the bottom lane. Wrathifer going to connect onto the Swiftblade, who does not have a token anymore. That's the situation where you're like, Mummy Walls are not helping my team. And that will allow the other guys in the Hellborn to get away. Alonia is probably dead here, as she's really, really slow even with the steam boots. Has a push book back up in a couple of seconds, but it's not going to matter. As she gets caught out and pays for Swiftblade's ability to get away. But that's more or less worth it. Jarl actually at 330 GPM, so pretty fantastic farm on this Alonia. Not so much for Puppet Master, but hey, they're sort of both support heroes here. Maybe Jarl more of a sort of support, not really support. And in general, actually, look at the Hellborn side, and they have a lot of farm on a lot of heroes. 470 GPM on that Kraken is being maintained here in 25 minutes in the game, which is pretty impressive. Jonathan on the Swiftblade, 460 GPM, which is good. Not great for a Swiftblade at this point in the game, I would say. You know, 500 plus GPM is probably where you absolutely want to be, but considering the rest of the Legion or the Hellborn side has so much farm, you can understand why he's not quite that far up there. He has been allowing his team to farm 390 on the Gauntlet, and like I just said, 320 on the Alonia, so a lot of spread for him. And I like that, to be honest. I like getting items on other heroes other than the carry. The whole 4 Protect 1 thing, to me, never really the way HoN is supposed to be played. I feel like it's a team game. It's about the team doing team things. And if one hero just has absolutely no capacity to do anything in these team fights, it's real bad. Speaking of that, Moon Queen going to get caught out here. Gauntlet Plus goes on to Cthulhu actually, as they figure they can get both, and indeed they can. As they manage to pick off the Cthulhu and Moon Queen in pretty easy and quick succession. Well, that's going to perhaps turn into yet another tier 3 push spot, as they're pretty much all grouped up here in this lane, looking to take it out. Gauntlet has finished up his Shrunken Head. Kraken working on a Soul's Bulwark into a Demonic Breastplate, has 3,200 gold saved up, so he's not far off of that item at all. Dawnbringer has been completed on the Swiftblade, another 1,200 gold saved up on him, so wouldn't be surprised if he goes for a Shroud build this game again. Again, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's better, I think, than it was the last time out when the Revenant really made the Shroud more or less irrelevant. And this game would be a decent surprise and or getaway factor. I, again, think there are better items for Swiftblade, but that's just me. Wrath of Pharaoh connecting on creeps. Very poor initiation there from Yellow Train. In the background, Yellow Train dies. They look at the Rose Kraken on to Hag, and she gets locked down and killed. So not only do they get the racks, they get 2 kills out of it. Trunkenhead is worn off there by Gauntlet, so we'll see if he can get away. My suspicion is yes, and yes he can. Oh, TZP losing their racks, losing 2 heroes, and getting more or less something out of it. They also use a buyback on the Pharaoh, who is 0-7-5. So Yellow Train having a bit of an iffy game this game. We've seen him have some pretty poor initiations, to be honest. Not really getting the best positioning for that Wrath of the Pharaoh. And as a result, you know, if you're going to miss that spell, Pharaoh's not going to be a good hero. Like, no joke, Pharaoh, that makes or breaks the hero. Your ability to use the Wrath of the Pharaoh and your ability to position yourself with the mummy walls and get the right people inside and outside of the mummy walls. He doesn't even need items, like I said before. It's if you can hit those spells, you can be a good Pharaoh player. If you can't, then you can't. Doesn't matter how well you farm, he needs to do that. So, Yellow Train, perhaps having some issues on this hero. And Hellborn side sort of want to go for Conqueror here, but they also realize that Pharaoh Rocket will continuously scout it out. So they don't have too much capacity to just run straight in there and kill it. That's what they're going to do anyway. They will get scouted, I assume, at some point by this Pharaoh and his rockets. Back up in a couple of seconds, and we'll see if they have enough capacity to kill Kongor, or at least get him low enough such that the Legion side can initiate. It seems like they've sort of resigned themselves to that. Pharaoh Rocket will catch them once again. But in the bottom lane, we see Catla main farming the wave, and we see Moon Queen farming top. So I don't think they're wrong. The Legion side are 16, now 17.5k gold down, 13.5k experience down. I don't think they really want to take a team fight. I don't think they really should take a team fight. But giving up free Kongor is usually not a recipe for success. Cthulhu can try to get jump here, but Kraken charges miss. See a lot of that too, unfortunately. People having issues with the Kraken charge. And it's going to be a Staff of the Master on Alonia, so I love the pickup. Very, very early, 340 GPM, so again, for a hero that's sort of being played as a second support here, not bad at all. Gauntlet going to look to catch out this Moon Queen. Will he get the hook off? No, he won't. Almost had it, but it was very, very close. If he had done that about a half a second earlier, it would have worked very well. Archid Hag is sort of blinking around here, looking perhaps to cut somebody off, but if she jumps on top of this Gauntlet and or Alonia, she's going to be in for a bit of a rude surprise with the combo of lockdown that they have. Meanwhile, we got Swiftblade and Kraken taking this top tower, and Jonathan will be the last hit. He's got a token once again, feeling pretty aggressive, as he well should. So those bot racks are down. Wouldn't be surprised if they manage to take a rack in a second lane as well. New token means more high ground pushes, and Kraken's kind of just like, yeah, let's go kill this thing, guy. Come on, like, why are we going middle? Let's just go kill this one. Oh, I guess you want to kill that one too? Fine, but could have killed that one. Who wants to kill stuff, yo? It's got a helm, demonic breastplate, vestments, and a portal key. So this Kraken ain't dying anytime soon. He's really, really tanky. Staccato Stun's doing a fair bit to Swiftblade, and he might have to use his token sooner rather than later. He'll be backed off a little bit by this Cthulhu. Actually does get hit by the Gauntlet, and we'll see he's in the background. Nice, wraps the ultimate saving a lot. They kill Vetches on the Gauntlet right off the bat. Swiftflash going through. They will manage to pick off Pharaoh. Here comes Cthulhu with the Dream of Madness activated. Gonna start to do a whole bunch of damage, and he managed to take up the Alone in the background. At least Kraken will be able to help pop that. Sorry, that's on the Hellborn side, and the token gets popped. So very, very nice fight back from TZP. Actually, that wraps the ultimate, doing a hell of a lot of work. She eventually did die for it, but not bad as Cthulhu gets initiated on, but he saves a lot of damage by popping that ultimate and allows Cthulhu to return a lot of it too onto the Gauntlet and various other heroes, the Dream of Madness being stupid powerful. Now it did cost them every single one of their ultimates on the Legion side. And all the Hellborn ultimates are down too, but there's more Hellborn heroes, so they're just kind of like, whatever, let's keep pushing this. Jonathan in the front, taking a fair bit of damage, and that mummy wall is not very effective. So this tier 3 tower might survive for the time being, at least, as it looks like WoG is backing up. I feel like they probably could have slow pushed that and taken the racks, but it's not that big a deal. They can perhaps just wait for the next Kongor and turn that into another high ground push with another token. They should be able to at least be able to take out that tower. And Swiftblade will just continue to farm up the woods. So, taking a look at the item once again, Hag has finished off her Grimoire of Power. And not a huge surprise there, 399 GPM. So, just about to cross that 400 GPM barrier, and she's having a good time. I think you'd probably be feeling a lot better about her performance this game if it wasn't for this Moon Queen, who's currently at 320 gold per minute. And just not the greatest. Crown Crapula really having a very suffer game at 320 GPM on MQ. Not where you want to be at half an hour in, so not looking to have her be too impactful in these team fights, to be honest, just because she doesn't have the items to do it. Cthulhu picked up the portal key on top of the Astrolabe vestments and various other stuff, so he's going to have much more initiation potential than he did. Not bad at all. Pharaoh, currently sitting at 800 gold and doesn't have too much more than what he had before, only 208 gold per minute, so perhaps not that surprising, but feels like he should have a little bit more than just basic early laning and build-up items that 32 minutes of the game. Again, an issue with the GPM, but more than that, I feel like. And then, of course, Rhapsody, sitting on mostly nothing, the life of a hard support inside of a jungle game. And we talked about Gauntlet before with his Shrunken Head picked up, got 946 gold saved up, so I feel like he should have something else on the way. And there's a courier sending out a Shroud to Swiftblade, so no huge surprise there. Swiftblade would pick up the Shroud on top of the Dawnbringer and Basher now, with Abyssal Skull and Ghost Marchers. So lots of gank potential for this Swifty, and we're going to see if he can make good use of that. I'm kind of suspecting no. But, hey, it's possible. I don't know, I don't really like the Assassin Shroud build on Swiftblade. I feel like, get a wing bow, man. What's anybody do to you if you have a wing bow? But he'll try to make use of it. Gonna catch out the Pharaoh. Yeah, there's the initiation, so Flash is easy kill. Cthulhu is gonna miss the charge.
Give up already.
And, so, I guess that's good. Thanks for making me look like an idiot, Jonathan. Gets the Shroud, immediately makes use of it, and they're gonna perhaps turn this into a high ground push as Pharaoh's down. He actually has no buyback either, so that's where all of his money went. I'm trying to figure out that out before, but clearly that's what happened. And Cthulhu looking for the jump, and the spin from Swiftblade allows him to basically just like a free tower right there. Hellborn, yeah, I hope they don't back off here. If they're going to go for this, sometimes they might as well. And still no buyback on Pharaoh, obviously no respawn. So they can start to put some pressure in on these racks. They don't have a token, but as far as items and gold go, they're not sitting on too much. About 3.5k on Kraken's a bit iffy if they want to really jump on this. Actually, Swiftblade going to get absolutely destroyed. At least Kraken in the background really not doing too much. Absolute Zero actually does a fair bit, but that was some pretty fantastic burst. They'll also catch Alonia, and nice hype back there from TZP. I don't know if it's going to be enough to change their ultimate fate. They're still down a lot in gold, and I don't know if they can get much out of this in the end. You still have to be worried about that bottom lane, which is continuously pushing in. They might get a tier 2 tower out of it in the middle lane. If they try to push for any more, they don't have buyback on Swiftblade, but they do have it on Alonia. So I would imagine that a buyback on Alonia would be sufficient to at least scare them, if not outright win a team fight, or slow them down enough to not take a tower in the base. So I don't think they're going to be getting a tier 3 tower here anytime soon. And it looks like they realize that too, and they're going to back off. Catlamane actually managing to counter push this bottom and keep that range racks up. Top lane's being slow pushed by Kraken, who's continuing to pull up a whole crap ton of gold, 4k now. As I'm not sure what he's going to go for, but he just sold something and bought a Shrunken? Vestment, sold Vestments, bought a Shrunken. And he's actually at a buyback now, so Pharaoh's initiation right here could be pretty significant. They have the Wrath of Pharaoh going to come right back in, charge obviously down as it was just used, and now Kraken is going to die. And that is really bad timing. He's got no Shrunken. He had no Shrunken for that fight. It was on its way, and he has no buyback as a result. Now, the Hellborn, or the Legion Knight, does not know this. So it looks like they're not going to get too aggressive with it, and I don't think Kraken's going to pay heavily for that pretty significant misfortune in timing. I mean, if he had an ultimate, or if he had a Shrunken Head earlier, I think he probably could have just baited out the trample, popped the Shrunken, and left. Although, is Pharaoh's Hellfire physical? Yeah, no, it's magical. That's what I was pretty sure. But always good to check. So he could have just left, to be honest. They don't use the Wrath of the Pharaoh. They'd use the trample. He could have just TP'd away. And if he had Moth the Shrunken, he would have had buyback at the very least in case they pushed the base. But sort of getting caught in exactly the wrong situation. And again, doesn't seem like he'll pay for it. Kongor's still not up to, as the Hellborn do seem to be eyeing that, waiting for it to come back. They feel like they need their token to be able to go push high ground, and they should have Kongor back up in a relatively short amount of time. And Kraken will be respawning in a second too, so not doing too much. Yeah, the stun is physical, is it? Yeah, it's one of the things I'm always confused about. Yeah, that sounds right. Like I want to say it is too. I also want to say it's not, but apparently I'm done. I'm dumb. See, I'm so dumb I can't even say I'm dumb. And top lane, we see group 4 here. That's grouped up in here, looking to get something perhaps onto this Kraken. Yeah, they're going to get the Wrath of the Pharaoh on once again. Now, he does have a Shrunken this time. He is going to pop it, actually, which is a little bit iffy to me, because I think he probably might not have been great. Nope, he's going to go for the TP, and he will survive. So, better player than I, as Crush 1 goes for the Shrunken Head Teleport, and it succeeds. So, play the middle lane will be forced out as Pharaoh ports in, and so do 3 other heroes, so good decision for him to run away, as that would have been very bad if he had kept going. Shit, have I really had the draft image up the entire goddamn game? I'm so sorry about that. It's been 37 minutes and I've had the draft image up the entire... Oh man, I feel stupid. I've been so good about that lately too. God damn it. Anyway, Kongor back up. I feel really, really bad about it. Ugh. Not so bad as to go and recast the entire game with the correct overlay, but pretty bad about it. So, oh well. Cthulhu in the middle lane will get jumped by the Kraken PK, and boy, he died quickly for a strength hero. Vestman's plate mail on top of his 1900 health, and he's actually going to immediately use a buyback as they realize Kongor is the next objective. And this Kongor kill, if the Hellborn get it, could be real bad, because that's going to be free mid-racks, and once you lose 2 lanes of racks, it's really hard to come back, because the third lane basically just becomes a manner of slow pushing, waiting for the 2 lanes to push in, and eventually you will take it. Anyway, Gauntlet going to get the initiation onto Rhapsody, and that's also a pretty crucial target. No Rhapsody ultimate in this fight, and she does not have a buyback. Blitz Kraken goes through onto 2. Pharaoh and Moon Queen both getting caught. She will pop her ultimate. So Slash goes through. Barbed Armor's there as well from Pharaoh, but they're both going to die. And there goes Ganal as well. And it's a genocide. No, sorry. Catlamane survives. And he actually didn't get all that much done. He still has his Bat Blast. So I suppose I can sort of forgive him, considering his team got massively caught out there. And they realized, like, we didn't get killed Kongor, we just killed their entire freaking team. None of them have buyouts, and this is Mega Creeps. Yeah, this is Mega Creeps.
Legion barracks are liquidated.
Moon Queen not back for 35 seconds, Cthulhu not back for 50 seconds. Pharaoh and Rhapsody can't do enough with Wretched Hag to back this off, and they're absolutely decimating these racks. This is Mega Creeps, and this is game. I mean, they cannot come back against Mega Creeps. It'd be one thing if Moon Queen had 650 GPM and could just sit there, but yeah, they're calling GGs. They realize it pretty damn quickly. So game 3, gonna go to WoG in the end, and a much closer game in general. Obviously, it was the longest game of the series, but it did feel a little bit closer. On the other hand, it did feel like WoG was in control of it for most of the game. TZP wasn't as out of it as they were in game 1, where they just basically got steamrolled and sort of held on until they really couldn't anymore. This game, not quite to that extreme, but WoG definitely in control for the entirety of it. And anyway, sorry. Got a bit distracted for half a second there, but TZP, you know, a team that's looked a lot better in the last couple of cycles, and I expected a little bit more out of them, I think. WoG is a team that's really rising right now. They got a top 10 vote from the captain of Rexars, actually, So they're getting recognized a little bit, and they have a lot of individual talent. The question is, can they pull it together and actually play enough as a team? And sometimes they do. And when they do, they look great. And when they don't, they look like they did in Game 2, and they look like crap, and they get rolled. So TZP, I think, a little bit more better on the team. Suns are not physical. God damn it, Twitch chat. Apparently Pharaoh Suns are magical. So I had it right the first time, making me doubt myself. I always try. I can't. Anyway. Regardless, TZP, I feel like a little bit better of a team-oriented team. Perhaps not as good on the individual skill level as their issue, but I don't know. I mean, like this was in the end a very even series. Obviously, going to 3 games. Usually, when that sort of thing happens, it's not because one team is so much better than the other one. Usually, that's when you have 2 20-minute games or whatever. So. And the loser bracket round 4 is pretty damn far in the tournament, so I don't think TZP can be super upset about where they leave. If I were them, I wouldn't be particularly happy. I think they're a little bit better than this. I think they probably should beat WoG. That might just be my familiarity with TZP and the fact that WoG has only been around for a relatively short period of time, but they've actually looked quite good in the time they've been here. And that's no offense to WoG. It's just like I feel like TZP probably plays better than this in most situations. I feel like their drafts were a little bit iffy in general. Count Crab really did not have a particularly great series, and he didn't have a particularly great Game 3. That Moon Queen pick I don't think was great, so I'm not really sure I want to put it all on him either. But in the end, it's sort of hard to come back when you get that aggro tri-lane that worked out as well as it did in the early game. Usually, win tri-lane, win game. So. That's what WoG does. They take the game, they take the series 2-1, and well played to them. They will be moving on to the losers bracket semifinals, excuse me, and they will be facing somebody, I forget who, because this was played a while ago, and I was about to look it up because I thought I had it, but I do not. So if you're really that curious, then go watch something else, or watch the next series, I guess, in which they will play. So I have it on VODs. Either way, I'm done. I gotta go to bed. It's real late for me. I gotta get up in the morning, so it's gonna be... That's it. Good series, good stuff.